Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today, guys, we're going to be jumping down into the world of Bitcoin, taking a look at what's been happening most recently and what we would expect to happen next. As I get into the video, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, guys, check it out, linked in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there, so why not go ahead and check it out. Okay, let's jump right down into this one. Here we have a Bitcoin paired up with USDT on the hourly chart, and Binance is the data source. Following on from yesterday's video, we were talking about this move towards our demand area. After the Fed chair had his interview yesterday evening, we did actually see the price move up and come back down and then rally back up again. So a lot of volatility all around the kind of things that was being spoken about. It did obviously mean that we failed to come down here by pushing up higher than the origin of our A wave. We can put this one to bed and say that yes, that is categorically the move that we had going on to the upside. So it does look like we have more than likely finished off this corrective structure here. We've got a lot of volatility. I think we've probably also finished this one because of that volatility that we saw. Still possible that we actually just have to come up a fraction more here. I don't think we're fully done with the move upwards. Let's go ahead and scope out where we think that's likely to be though. If we come in and pull this in here, actually it's pretty much on the 1-to-1. It's a little short. Let me just pull that back up there. So we could see that we could potentially move just a fraction further towards the 485, but we could also push out just extend into the 1.236 fib, which will be 23,657. Now the thing here is we'd have to probably correct down a bit further before we could really get the confidence on that one. I would probably say we have the ability to probably push up into the slightly higher range there without a problem. I would say that we're probably going to have to just come down a fraction more and then move on up. The next area of resistances, now we've kind of chewed through a lot of the buying down here, is going to be probably right here. Actually, this is going to be the next kind of nice one to kind of focus in on, which is going to be 23.6 to 23.7. Okay, so those areas there, let's just bring this C wave just a fraction higher just to kind of show you that this is the area, the next level of resistance, even if it is just a short-term thing. On our hourly stochastic, we can see that we're heading down into oversold, but we're not there yet, so do expect some volatility. We've got our got our simple moving averages, our 50 and our 200, and here we can see that there was an hourly cross between the 50 and the 200 SMA. So again, you know, people say golden cross. It's an hourly one. It's not important at all. It's really, really minor. And obviously the larger time frames don't have anything like that. So, you know, on the smallest time frame, you have golden cross kind of nonsense. But again, it's such a minor time frame, it doesn't matter here. It's going to be short-lived regardless. Obviously, we saw the volatility. So we got the cross, then we saw the pump up, and then we saw the crash down, and then we've gone back up again. Again, I don't think the golden cross scenario on such a small time frame really makes any difference whatsoever to the price action of BTC. Nothing like we saw on the daily on the 11th of January, for example. Okay, so we know that there's a bigger parts, bigger kind of crosses that have occurred, and you know, this smaller stuff doesn't really matter too much. As we kind of go up into these larger time frames, you can see death cross also on our 50 and 200 EMA. That was happening on the 6th of February. So again, you know, depending on what time frame you look at, you get different kind of narratives. We are overbought on the 4 hours, so do expect some price volatility to the downside. Now the 8 hour has had progression upwards. You can see here that we are still potentially in this expanding diagonal structure, and we're still looking at that 24.25 as a potential move for Bitcoin. The 8 hour stochastic has moved up quite a bit though, so we want to be a little bit cautious there. There's plenty of room to grow on the 12, 16 and 20 hour charts, with the daily also in the oversold position, ready for a bit of a move to the upside. Again, I do want to kind of just illustrate that we are still seeing some bearishness on the daily chart, because we are going up into the higher highs and higher lows, and that is a problem. when we do not have the volume behind it. If we bring the volume in, you can see the volume is decreasing over time. Small amounts of little pockets if you really focus on the minor stuff. The RSI is quite high, and we do have that bearish divergence because we are losing momentum as the price goes upwards. It tells us that reversal is due. I still think we can tap into the 24-25k range. I don't think that's changed, but just be aware that we are running out now. We're going to see the stochastic on the daily move from oversold to overbought pretty fast. Now, as I kind of come over into our weekly, if I bring up the weekly here, okay, we can see that we are getting, or still getting rejected on the 200 weekly EMA, that we're overbought on the stochastic RSI of the weekly time frame. The the volumes are obviously showing us a decrease, okay, so we can see that right in there, the decrease in volume as price pushed up. It's not a good sign. As we kind of take a look at the RSI, it's not actually in a bad position, nothing to note there, and there isn't really anything to note when it comes to the divergence indicator either on the weekly time frame. Our accumulation patterns from the Wyckoff are still technically in play. We're waiting for invalidation or to make it void at 25,211. Anything higher than that would basically say this is not what's occurring. And of course, the only place I can draw this at the moment, with us getting close towards the spring event, although it's not necessarily required, is here. Okay, so we could adjust this and we can say that we haven't even had a secondary test in phase B. But if we want to be bullish, the only way I can draw the Wyckoff accumulation pattern is as I have done. So this is the most bullish narrative I can get on the Wyckoff accumulation pattern, which still shows us with a potential lower low. Okay, so I want to bear that in mind. I'm not saying that we have to have it because there's two different variations to the Wyckoff accumulation pattern, and one has a spring event, one does not have a spring event. So understand that we are in this potentially in this manipulation pattern, and as such, it can go up or it can go down. You just follow the money, and you should be safe. So looking at that, that's kind of where we sit with this one. Still valid. We're just waiting to see how it kind of plays out. The alternative, of course, as I said, is that down here where I've got this labeled as a selling secondary test in phase B, this would be the selling climax of phase A if we were to draw it slightly differently. Okay, so that puts us right at the very beginning of this entire journey with a new lower low being required. Bear these things in mind. Okay, now our wallet counts are showing us with continued selling pressure from our traders. These are the Bitcoin sharks. They got this pump. They pumped up their wallets before the price action of Bitcoin climbed, and now they're decreasing their wallets as Bitcoin's price is in those higher ranges. So read into that as you will. We were saying, did they know something or did they make a mistake when they were buying up before the price action moved? And well, it appears they did not make a mistake. The question now is, are they making a mistake, or do they know that the price actions are reversing? Whales, of course, slight uptick here in the last 24 hours, but you're talking one additional wallet count. Otherwise, for the most part, continued selling pressure from whales, continued selling pressure from krakens, with, of course, the people who are buying being the retailers. Big uptick here on the krill, a little bit of an uptick here as well on our shrimps, and the dolphins are not too concerned. They are kind of actually starting to think there's actually reasonable profit here. Probably time to start taking it. And so when we start thinking about where the money's flowing, it's not coming from the bigger players. We can take a look at the last 365 days for our Bitcoin whales, and you can see that they've been doing nothing but coming out. People have been asking what on earth happened. Why did these whales buy over here during February of 2022? Well, it's because the price was quite reasonably low, and they swung the price up towards $48,000 and then started to come out of their positions. Liquidity is the answer as to why there was this uptick here. But since February of 2022, or actually more specifically, March of 2022, these whale participants have not been, well, participating. They have been coming out, and we see these lower lows on their wallet counts continuously. Even after retail believes the bottom was in June, we saw them selling. We see retail saying that the bottom is in November, and we see these whale wallets continuing to decrease and continue to sell into the pumps that therefore fall after. I don't believe it's the bottom. I don't believe that the big money here is making a mistake. But you've answer that question for yourself. You know, it's up to you whether you want to feel bullish or you want to be bearish. Essentially, for me, when I take a look at the charts, take a look at the data, it tells me that actually things are not as bullish as we might want them to be. But, you know, there's some short-term pumps to be had. So do enjoy the green for the short time periods, but essentially be very, very cautious over where we think things are going next. My personal thoughts are we'll probably be tapping into the $23,000, $24,000 and $25,000 Bitcoin levels at some point over the next couple of weeks before we actually start to see bigger retracements occur. But a bigger retracement I do think is going to be required. We're going to have to retest in the range of around $18,000 one way or the other. So it's just a game of being patient, essentially. So yeah, I'm going to leave this video right there. If you found it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and I'll catch you all in the next one.